Hello and welcome to Guiding Voices. Today we have Seunfunmi Adegoke. She's going to be sharing with us a transformative journey and how she actually bridged the gap between the African education systems and the Western education systems. Seunfunmi Adegoke is an electrical engineer. She had her first degree in Nigeria at Obafemi Awolowo University and went on to have a master's in the United States. Right now, she's an electrical engineer with Intel in Oregon, USA. So today I am a host and my name is Adebola. Welcome, Seunfunmi.
Thank you, Adebola, for having me. Thanks, everyone. I'm glad to be here.
It's such a pleasure, right, to be interviewing a fellow electrical engineer. I feel very, very proud and excited. And let's dive into your transformative journey. So I would ask, what motivated your choice of a master's in electrical engineering, especially because you have many years of experience in supply chain management from a telecommunication company?
Yeah, so when I migrated to United States after getting married, I found myself in Michigan, and there I wanted, because of my experience in supply and logistics, I decided that I was going to go for MBA, supply chain management. And unfortunately for me, the admission I got were not fully funded, and there was no way we could afford to cover out the tuition while my husband was studying for his PhD. So we decided that I should wait while he finishes his PhD program, and then we can focus on my education when he's done after getting a job. And then after he graduated, he got a job in Oregon, and we moved down to Oregon. And I applied. I tried to apply for MBA, and while I was preparing for GMAT, we met a couple of people around that are now my mentors, and they were like, in Oregon it's predominantly a technology state, and there are more opportunities if you are in science and engineering compared to business world. So I was advised to go back to electrical engineering, since that was my first love. So I decided to just go back to electrical.
You know what, I was just like, the audacity even for you to want to leave electrical engineering. Just to buttress my points, she has a diploma in electrical engineering before a first degree in electrical engineering, and then she decided that it's time to bail out on all of us. Anyways, we forgive you for that. So my second question is, how did you navigate, attending a community college before your master's degree? Because I know you had to do that, and I really don't know exactly why, but I was going to assume that maybe because you had over 10 years between your first degree and then your master's in electrical engineering. Do you want to take us through that journey?
Yeah, that's I'll say is a part of the factor. So during my undergrad days in OAU, the only programming language I did then was Fortran 77. But for me to be successful in my master's program, I needed to be grounded in Linux programming. I needed Python, I needed C++, which we never took then. So I had to take all those classes. But before I got to the stage of deciding on what classes I needed to take, I applied to Portland State University twice, and my admission was rejected, even after meeting the admission requirements and all that. So because I was locally, so I had to go to the school to find out why my admission was rejected, and I was told that they had limited spots and they had a number of people that qualified, so they had to find a way to trim down the number of applicants that they admitted. So one of the criteria was that if you graduated like 2-3 years ago, more than 2-3 years, yeah, I think that's right, more than 2-3 years, they were not going to consider your application at all, just to narrow down the number of people, yeah, to fill the spot. So I spoke with the then admission head or something, and when he looked at my resume, looked at my transcript and years of experience, unfortunately my years of experience couldn't factor in because it was outside engineering. So he suggested that I take some classes to help me be successful for my master's program. So I took a couple of 200 level classes and 300 level classes. So it was more of programming and then advanced calculus and all that. Not the, yeah, just those specific courses that will make my journey seamless and successful. So I took Python, I took C++, I took Linux, I took advanced calculus and a number of those classes, and I was admitted for my master's program based on my performance on the post-baccalaureate. So I didn't have to retake GRE anymore, and I didn't have to apply, submit an application or anything of such.
Oh, wow. That would have been kind of nerve-wracking kind of a thing.
Yeah, it was. It was. But just making up your mind that this is what I want to do. It was tough because it took me, because I have other things competing for my attention. I wasn't solely focused on my academics this time around. So I had my family to take care of, I have my kids to look out for, and then out of that 24 hours, I need to carve out a couple of hours to focus on my studies, and then it takes me longer to understand concept. So for my colleague in school that will probably spend an hour, 2 hours to understand a concept, I spend like twice, 3 times of those times to study it. So because I know that I can't afford not to do well, I had to put in that effort.
Would you say maybe because of the pressure of not wanting to fail, maybe that's why you would take many more hours in actually
not necessarily. Not necessarily. It was probably because the student I was in class with, they were already familiar with most of those concepts, so it was more like a continuation for them. All those concepts were new for me because when it's just like when you're solving a math question, you can't just jump from step 1 to step 25. There are steps in between before you get to the final answer. So for them, they've been able to understand the concept from step 1 to 2 to 3, so they can easily jump 2 steps and move down to step 10. But for me, that I don't even understand what step 1 is, and the professor is already on step 25, so I have to go back and learn all those in between steps. So that's more like what took me some time to understand all those details and all that. So I had to spend more hours to understand those, and that was at the initial stage. So it was more like time to ramp up, and then after ramping up, it was just a small scale after that.
No, and that brings me to my next question. So
Okay.
what would you say are some key differences that you notice between that education system that we have back in Nigeria, and I would say Africa as a whole, and then the United States? Especially, maybe we should focus on electrical engineering.
Okay, so based on my experience, I don't know what electrical engineering currently in Nigeria, I don't know what that looks like now. But when I was in school, comparing when I was in school, my undergrad years, it's more of there's this I'm trying to see a better way to capture it. It's more of, this is the concept, the basis, the principle behind the concept, I don't think we necessarily understand the principle behind those concepts. We just know, oh, A plus B is C. Why A plus B is C, I don't believe many of us understand that. And then the questions, the tests, the exams is based on that. It's not about oh, if you understand how A plus B how A plus B got to C, you should be able to understand why X Y equals to Z, or not X plus Y, X times Y equals to Z. So the way they teach here is different. They make you understand the concept, and most of our questions, there are no right or wrong answers. So you have to be able to bring that knowledge you learned in class to analyze stuff. So you and your partner necessarily don't have to have the same answers, and both of you can be right too. So I don't know how to explain it, but they give you that room to think deep, to explore, and then be able to go in depth and understand it, such that whatever questions you are thrown at, you'll be able to confidently answer those questions. But in our own case, it's just like, this has to be this. If it's not that, then it's wrong. Because I remember I took a class with Professor Adegoke then. It was more of calculating.
May God rest his soul, by the way.
Yeah.
May God rest his soul, by the way.
Yeah. And
it just passed.
Oh, so sorry to hear that. I never knew it passed. So the course itself, it's a calculation course, and it was just focused on your final answer. And say you had to plug in a figure, and instead of plugging in 25, you plugged in 26 or something. It's going to mess up your result, but the steps are the same. But Professor Adegoke is going to give you 0 for that question. No, because before he looks at the step, he has to first of all check if your final answer matches with what you are supposed to get, and if it does not match, he doesn't bother looking at those tests, which is different here. The difference here is they want to see if you understand the concept. You might not necessarily get the final answer right, but they want to understand, oh, you understand that you are supposed to plug in this value, you are supposed to do exponential, you are supposed to differentiate, you are supposed to do all those stuff, and then that plays into your grade. So I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, you did answer my question.
Okay.
And I can round it up for you. Well, first of all, like you said, may God rest Professor Adegoke soul. He passed, I think, a couple of months ago, and then we pray that his family finds comfort in this time. I think he taught us electrical engineering 3 something. I do not remember exactly the code.
305, 306. Yeah.
306. It's almost 2 decades now. But we're grateful. We're grateful for his life. We're grateful for his contribution. So, in support of what you said, basically, back home, it's a very structured system that actually thrives on memorization. So we memorize a lot. However, in the Western systems, like you, it's about critical reflection. So you are able to critically reflect on concepts so that then you can apply yourself to it. And in the best way. So that's the way, and that's the only way we can have innovation. When you are able to apply yourself to concepts, you're able to understand innovation. And I'll give you just a simple example. The simple example of the relationship between integration and summation. If you ask a typical engineer from Africa, what is the relationship between integration and summation? They're very close concepts. However, there's a reason why we use integration sometimes, and there's a reason why we use summation in for the same problem, or maybe say different kind of peculiarities around them. And I would say one, discontinuities. So even as simple as that math concept, which is supposed to be taught, obviously, I would say maybe first year of undergrad, that should translate to something as you go on into higher degrees or even higher classes. So, yes. So I quite understand what you mean. In Africa, we're more structured, we're more teacher-led, but in Western systems, it's more critical reflection. It's more of the student-centered learning. The focus is on the student, not on the teacher. And I get that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Also, I wanted to ask a question also. Many people also struggle with confidence to return to education after a long break. What advice would you give to such people? Especially because you had many changes in your life. You know, you were a mom already, and you were also an expecting mom at some point.
Yeah.
During the studies and expecting mom and everything. So, what would be your advice for people struggling? I've met a lot of people, but I want to hear your take on it, or what your advice would be for people that are struggling with their confidence to return to school.
Yeah, so the truth of the matter is it's going to be very, very difficult. It's tough. It is tough. But just like any race, there is a finish line. So what you need to do is, you know your strengths, you know how much you can commit to whatever you desire that you want to do. Go at your pace. The beauty of this Western world is you don't have to take a full 9 credit. Fine, it might take you longer years to finish, but it's better to finish strong than not finishing at all. But it's going to be very, very difficult. That's the truth of the matter. But there are resources, there are people that can help us to succeed. So utilize all the resources around you. Go for what's it called now? I can't remember. Apart from your lecturers, they have this tutor. I don't know. There is a particular word they call it, that you can go for office hours. Yes, that's it. There are office hours that you can go to, and they will explain whatever is not clear to you in class. So take advantage of all those opportunities. Mingle with your classmates, because most of those things, fine, because it's been a while you've left school, they might be your kids' age, they might be far, far younger than you, but it doesn't matter. What you need is to come to their level, and then you get the best opportunity to learn from them, and that's just it. You just have to do what you have to do and make the best of that opportunity.
Yes, like you said, office hours are very critical in any student's learning. And in case we're not sure, it's been a while, that doesn't exist in the African system, and that's why We Guide Learning Initiative is actually providing you that office hours. And it's because people like we're speaking to today, Seunfunmi, has actually bridged that gap. They've been able to understand those simple concepts, like we just earlier said, about integration and summation. And they're able to help you bring concepts to life. They're able to help you answer certain questions and provide you essentially the office hours. That being said, you earlier mentioned something. You talk about it's difficult. You have to make up your mind. I think the first thing for us to also be able to advance is to know where we lack the skills. I think we need to come to terms with the fact that I don't know. When you realize that this I do not know, and then you're able to, I think that's the first step of being successful at anything. I don't know.
Because you've been able to identify your weakness, your lack, and then the next step is to identify people that can help you overcome that lack. So if you are not sincere with yourself that this I don't know, this is my shortcoming, then you won't be able to take the next step into identify those that can help you bridge that gap.
And that's the truth. That's just it. For people that wants to have people to help them bridge the gap, we do have a free mentorship program at We Guide Learning Initiative. You can then see on the link in the description of this video, and then you can just join for free. It's a free program. We're not charging you any money. We just want to help as much as possible to help you reach your dreams and make you successful in your career. That brings me to the next question. You went to a school that is known for hustle, meaning that you hustle, you hustle your way. I mean, like Obafemi Awolowo University is known for a space where you work out your own salvation in the academic world. I know it's a place where sits a lot of intellectuals, but again, we're just very used to working things out ourselves. So I would ask you a question. I will ask you this question. How did the skills and experience you gathered maybe as a student while working in Nigeria helped you adapt to the challenges of study when you got to the United States?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So, because of that tenacity, that idea that we can't afford to fail, and we just that someone has done it before. So why should my case be different?
Different.
Why should my case be different? So that actually helped, because I remember during my journey, I was pregnant. There was a time I was pregnant. I couldn't keep food down. But that period from when I wake up, my typical day when I wake up in the morning to go to class and then come back, I don't know where the energy, the strength comes from. I go through my day, my typical day, come back. If I have any homework to do, I get started with that. Sometimes I have to pull in my husband to help me with some of my programming classes. And when I'm done, I'm tired. I don't have energy to do anything. I can't even cook. I can't eat. I can't even walk to my room. But for that period that I knew that I needed to deliver, I needed to turn in homework, I needed to sit down and write my code and all that. I don't know where that energy comes from. But after I'm done with that, I'm useless to any other thing. I can't do any other thing. So it's more like I've already conditioned myself that this, I just have to do it. I don't have a job. But every other thing, if I have the energy, then I will do it. And if I can't do it, that's it. Life continues. So it's more like, other people before me, they've gone through this path, they've succeeded. They never said that it was going to be smooth. Nobody said it was going to be smooth. We only heard their success stories. But what they went through to make that success story, most of us didn't bother to ask them. So this is my own journey as well too. So because I know that there is a finish line, and I know that there will always be a light at the end of the tunnel. So I just have to push and persevere, and then put everything that I've got in me to make it work.
Right. And that's also very important. Time and energy management. A whole lot of us talk about time management, but we don't talk about energy management, being able to put the work where you know you have the energy, and put the play when you know you don't have too much of energy. So that's a conversation then that we're going to go for another day. So I would say, as a mentor, you are one of our mentors at the We Guide Learning Initiative, and you have a wealth of experience. You've gone through a whole lot of challenges, and you've been able to come out on the other hand now as an engineer, working in one of the top companies in the world. What are some of your biggest lessons that you hope to pass down to your students who also one day aspire, maybe to take an advanced degree abroad, or even considering any non-linear career path, maybe even starting their own consultancy firm, wanting to study remotely, or just even advanced degree back in Africa? What would be your biggest lesson you want to share with them?
What I've learned and what has worked for me is communication. You have to communicate, network with people, because especially in this Western world, fine, you're smart, fine, you have the qualification, but apart from your qualification, your smartness speaking for you, the people you know too will help you get those nitbits, small position that are only exposed to a few people. So I remembered when I finished, it was during COVID, and But before then, I was supposed to go for my internship, and it was difficult because most companies they were yet to figure out how to get interns that work remotely. Because as an intern, they are supposed to mentor you, they are supposed to teach you and all that, but you can't see them. So it was difficult for most of those companies to be able to figure out how to take interns. So few of them were taking interns then, but the few that took interns, the interns weren't doing much, because I have a couple of friends that were fortunate to get internship, and the avenue to learn wasn't there because it was just difficult. There were no resources and all those set up then. After a couple of months, they were able to get a hang of that. And I remember that during those period while I was interviewing for internship, I kept in touch with a number of hiring managers then. Because fine, that period I was supposed to get in didn't happen. I had to go back to school to take some courses just to be able to complete my program then. And while I was, I think, the last month of my study, I got a call from a number of them when they had actually figured out how to integrate the interns then. So they reached out to me if I was still interested in that intern. That was because I kept that communication line open. That was why they were able to come back to me to ask if I was still interested in internship. But then I had just 1 month to finish my program, so I said, now I'm already almost done with school, that I'll be open to full-time employment. But then they needed interns. So say at that period I still needed that internship opportunity. Then I'm very sure that I would have been able to be invited for interviews, and then the process for the internship would have continued from that open communication. So you can't really say that, oh, this person can help me. Whatever opportunity you have to meet someone, to talk to people, just keep that communication line open. Keep it open and make sure that you cultivate that relationship too. It doesn't have to be anything, just more like checking in and all that. Even after interviews, it doesn't cost you anything to just send an email, be formal, to check in, just checking in if you guys have reached a decision on my interview, or if you have, even if they told you that, oh, you didn't meet the course, go back to them and ask them what they would advise you to improve on. What are the things you did well, and what are the things that you needed to improve on? So all those things, you soak those information in to help you in your next phase of interview, your next phase of whatever that is.
Well, that's amazing. There are so many skills, and I know that's one is communication, and within communication there are still so many skills also within that communication.
Yeah.
And those are things you pick up, under the mentorship of our mentors. There's a space of honor, understanding how to honor people. It's a skill you need to build again. Understanding how to honor people. It's not just about your certificates. There's so many other skills you need to pick up on your journey, as you go towards your maybe starting a business or your professional career. Finally, I'm not going to end this call without asking you, if you reflect on your journey being an electrical engineer, getting a diploma in electrical engineer, I missed a lot of men. An undergrad, I missed a lot of men. A master's degree, I missed a lot of men. And working, I missed a lot of men. Is there any advice you want to give to young women that are looking also to pursue engineering or any STEM fields? And maybe they are facing some very complex personal and professional challenges.
Yeah, I do have one or two things to say on that regard. So the truth of the matter is, it's the men's world. It is the men's world. So for us women, we have to do extra for us to be regarded the way they regard the men. So if you aspire to be the head of whatever discipline you're thinking of, if the men are putting in 100% effort, you have to up yours too 200% effort for you to get the same recognition they will give to men. And another thing is, the men, some of them will look down on you. Some of them will think, they will ask you, what have you got to offer? And because the way the society is structured, the men can focus on their career and still excel perfectly well. But compared to us, the women, we have other things that compete for our time. Apart from our career, we have our family competing for our time. We have our kids competing for our time. So we have to kind of like find a work-life balance, and at the same time be true to ourselves as well too. You don't want to say, well, it depends on what is really important to you. So I don't want to go to that angle. Depending on what is important, if your career is important to you or if your family is important, you just have to find a way to balance it. But the truth of the matter is, you have to put in more effort compared to a male counterpart in the same field,
in the same space. Do you think that would change anytime soon?
I don't know. We'll watch and see. I don't know.
Sincerely, I'm just going to keep quiet on that question too, for now as it unfolds. But also, as a young woman in engineering, like you said, it's not that you're not good enough. It's just because you have
to be exceptional.
To do a lot of, exactly.
You also have to be exceptional for them to accord you that little respect that they will accord a male colleague. You have to be extraordinary. It's just, if we look at the society in every facet, you see it. In the past election as well, some people did not vote for the female candidate because she was just female. Not if we look at the interview, you see that apart from their qualities and all that, fine, both candidates have their manifesto, but the interviews, the reason why some people didn't vote for her was because she was female, which shouldn't be. It should be based on what she can offer and what the other guy can offer. So that's why I said I don't know if it's going to change anytime soon, because even if you go to most companies, most CEOs are mostly men. So we can count the number of companies that the CEO are women. And for those women CEO, if you look at their biography or their story, they would have fought tooth and nail to get to that position. So the society itself don't accord the women that opportunity to be the leader, because they believe the women are not good enough. Even if you prove yourself that you are good at that job, they still believe, no, the men can do better. So it's just a fight that we have to continue to fight.
So would you say that, I think it's about time, would you say that it's about time for women to stop bringing emotions to the table?
Yes.
And begin to bring strategy and bring logic to the table.
Logic to the table. Yes, I quite agree with you on that. So another thing we can do as women is bring awareness to other young girls and make them aware that they can also aspire to do this. They can aspire to venture into male-dominated discipline too. So if we have opportunities for women to, for girls, young girls, and then there will be that resources. No, is that the right word? No, I won't say resources. There will be enough women to be able that we can uplift to get to those positions, because there are some positions that probably the only applicant for those positions are male, so there is no competition between male and female in that regard. But if girls are also qualified to apply for those positions, then they now have to look for the best out of the applying candidates.
Yes, and even around the world right now, I think in engineering and science with it, and computer science, engineering computer science is just 18 18% of women.
Yeah. So
in it.
we have a long way to go.
We still have a long way to go, and I'm hoping we change the game soon. And that's why we are here. We're here as an organization. We are here as a people. We are here as Africans, trying to bridge that gap between our education system and the Western system. And our goal is that with our education, with our learning, our experiences, they all translate to innovation. And we're indeed able to change our world. And I think that's just very, very important. Well, so what will be your closing remark for today? What should your mentees expect coming up? For people coming up to speak to you, what should they be expecting? And what did you just want us to leave off with today?
For upcoming engineers, I would say that we have resources around us. We have people around us that can help us achieve that goal that we want to. So we shouldn't just be shy. We shouldn't keep quiet. We should ask questions. And even if the person you speak to can't help you, I'm very sure that they can connect you to someone that can help you. But you just have to ask. You just have to make you just have to be open to learn. Yeah, that's the word. You have to be open to learn, and you should be able to. You should prepare yourself to put in the work too, because no one is going to hold your hand. You have to be able to stand on your 2 feet, that this is where I want to go to. The best any one of us can do is guide you, but you have to take the lead. We only guide you through the path that whatever path you want to take.
Right. Thank you. Ask for help.
Yes.
That's another thing. Ask for help. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you less intelligent. It doesn't make you less brilliant. Just ask for help.
Yeah.
And I hope you've enjoyed our time with Seunfunmi Adegoke today. It was nice talking to you, sis.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for the opportunity to share this time. And I wish we can go on and on. There's still a lot to talk about. But again, in the future, we're still going to dive into many questions especially around female or women in engineering. Thank you for the time. And guys, on here, we're still going to be bringing you more sessions. We're going to be bringing you more mentors that we're going to be talking with and sharing our experiences with. And for today, we'll say thank you for joining us and have a lovely time. It was such an amazing time discussing with Seunfunmi Adegoke, our mentor, talking about our inspiring journey, bridging that learning gap between the African and Western systems. I hope you were able to learn one thing or the other as you take your own steps towards your success story. Thank you for joining us. Have a lovely night.